Welcome to RIT Talk. We're here to raise awareness about mental health. One way of doing that is to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do. Have a great day, don't quit, and keep pushing forward. All right, today we're going to talk with Kurt. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Barry. Kurt Nelson, currently work as fire captain and paramedic for Rural Metro Fire. I'm assigned to Engine 1 on B shift. I'm also on the hazmat tech team as well. I've been with the department. I'm coming up on my 14th year, actually this year. So pretty good stint. I did a little bit of time in Winter Haven before then, just out of the academy, but pretty much my career has been with Rural Metro Fire in Yuma.
Okay. So why'd you choose this profession?
So my story is actually a little bit unorthodox, to be honest with you. So coming right out of high school, my mom was working for City of PD, was a sergeant out there. And, I kind of wanted to go into that police role. That was kind of my plan initially right out of high school. And so we're kind of sitting down one day right after graduate, kind of having lunch and stuff and figuring that out, and quickly realized that you can't get into the police academy until I believe it was 20 or 21, something like that. And I was 18. So it was actually my mother who pitched the idea. She said, "Hey, why don't you do the fire academy? See how you like that? You can do that for a few years. And then when you turn, 21, you could jump over and
go get a real job."
Basically, she obviously, yeah, we had a good little joke about that. So that was kind of my plan. So went ahead and took Fire Academy, EMT, obviously, got hired on, like I said, over at Winter Haven for a couple of months. And I got the full-time gig at Rural Metro Fire. And then I caught that first house fire, with that first interior attack. And since then, I knew what I wanted to do. I was hooked. It was still a form of public service, just like, the police do.
Yeah.
But it something clicked in me, as soon as I had that house fire, I got to feel that, see what it's all about, what the job has to offer. Obviously I'd had some medical calls at that point as well. And I just knew right then and there, I was like, nah, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to stay. So the rest is history.
All right. Sounds like a good enough excuse.
Yeah, like I said, it's a little bit unorthodox start, but I mean, hey, you know what? It worked out.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Was your mom upset that you didn't go to the other side?
Not really. I mean, she got it. She could tell I was passionate about it right away. And obviously, like any mother wants, she just wants, find your passion. So I had found mine. So she was grateful. Obviously, there was a lot of jokes back and forth, like I'm sure you experienced today, like I still experience, with fire and police. And, we have a healthy back and forth banter. So of course, some of that.
Oh, good. So I got one more question. What's one thing that you think would help with the firefighter, first responder mental health?
So that's a great question. That's one I've been thinking about, last couple of days, because I knew I was going to do this with you. And I really think, just speaking from my experience and what I've seen, not just me personally, but like some of the guys around us or around me that I've worked with, I think there needs to be more focus, if you will, on life outside of the fire department. I think it's very easy. And again, I did this for many, many years, and I still catch myself doing it to this day, is you give so much of yourself to the fire department mentally. And you really forget about some of those things that are important when we actually clock out and go home. I think having that strong support system at home, having those healthy relationships, having a healthy avenue to release stress when you go home is very, very important. Because if you neglect those things, then obviously that causes stress in many different avenues that we can probably talk about all day. But in reality, a lot of that stuff bleeds onto shift. So I really think that a more importance needs to be put on having a healthy home life, if you will, having a good support system to where, if you do have that bad shift, like we always do, when you go home, you're not just sitting there in your thoughts, right? You got an avenue, whether it's, having a good, solid, like a rock of a spouse to talk to about it that understands the job, healthy eating habits, obviously, right? Going to the gym, you got to have that home life that supports this type of career field. You've got to have something to be able to channel that stress and work through that. You can't just go home and, sit there and try not to think about it or not do something positive. I think that is it really goes a long ways. I
Okay.
know I've focused on that now for many, many years, because, especially early on in the career, I realized, like I was so focused on the fire department. I worked all this overtime and that's all I ever wanted to do, which, because it's a great job, right? That's what we get into this for. We just want to be around it all the time. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, you still got to have a life outside of the fire department as well to maintain that healthy work-life balance that everybody always talks about. I think it's really, really challenging in this career field just because of everything that it has that comes with it to forget about that work-life balance. And I've seen, I'm not going to throw the guy's name out there, but I know one of my mentors that recently retired just a few years ago. And I felt like he gave 99% of his mental capacity to the fire department. So when he retired, you could see that. It's like, it was almost like when you had that conversation with him, it's almost like, what do I do now? He doesn't have that camaraderie anymore. And I think that's really important to where, once you get to the end of your career, you still have to have those positive things outside of this awesome career to still move through life.
There you go. Well said. I agree.
It's like I said, it's a great career. I think that the best thing that we can do is try to turn some of those negative effects from the career, stressful calls, things like that, and try to translate that into, finding avenues outside of the workplace to channel it, kind of turn it positive, and not just keep it to ourselves. And I mean, you got to open up. You got to have somebody to talk to. Like, especially me, again, for years, I caught myself where all I ever associated with, all I ever hung out with was people from my fire department. So that can be very easy to almost kind of get that bubble going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that box or that comfort zone. I think we got to think about stepping outside of that sometimes and really, finding other channels to kind of to work with as well, just so you get that healthy work-life balance. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, you hear that all the time in the fire service. You read in articles and videos, they talk about work-life balance, work-life balance. Well, if you don't think about that early on in your career, next thing you know, it's been 20 years and you're like, whoa, like all I've ever really thought about and put my energy in is the fire department. Like, so
yeah.
Obviously this takes a lot. This career field takes a lot. It takes buy-in, right? You got to have buy-in or you're not going to be successful. But at the same time, you still got to have that strong support system at home to, you got to have something to go home to for real.
All right. I like it. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, really appreciate all the work you're doing in the community. I was just telling some of my guys about, they seen my hat, yesterday on shift and they were kind of asking me some questions about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we really appreciate what you're doing out there for sure.
Trying little by little.
Hey, you know what? That's all it takes. Little steps turns into big results. We all know that.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Barry.